Laura and Rachel had always been great friends. Ever since they first met in middle school, they became inseparable, and they never had a single fight or argument. Their relationship was perfect, and almost every afternoon they would have coffee together and catch up about their lives. However, one of those times, while they were both eating at a new bar, they suddenly started to feel very sleepy. Both decided to go back home and get some rest. However, they fell asleep right in the bar. They fell into such a deep slumber that they didn't notice when they were moved from their chairs to bring them to the back of the bar. And they also didn't feel the slight slope of the stairs, nor the pressure of the ropes which were tied to their wrists. 9 hours later, the friends woke up. They found themselves in a completely dark room, but they knew they were close to each other since their hands were touching. They helped each other untie the knots which tied their wrists, and managed to free their arms. When they got up from the floor, a light was turned on. Then, the sound of an old radio started to be heard, and then they heard a distorted voice say, "Welcome. We'll be putting your friendship to the test. Only one of you will get out of here alive. Even if you try to escape together, let the game begin." On a table in the center of the room, they found a letter. The message said, "Laura, the answer is in your heart." Rachel hoped there would be a second clue for her, and started to fear that maybe only her friend would be getting out alive, since she was the one with the answer. They spent hours looking for clues which could help them get out. They inspected all of the drawers, all of the tiles on the floor, and all of the bricks on the walls. They grabbed items from the shelves and broke them with the hope of maybe finding a clue inside. They lost track of time and found themselves lying on the floor exhausted, hungry, thirsty, and wanting to use the restroom. And then, one of the room's lights turned red, and an alarm went off. On top of the door, an electronic sign turned on, initiating a 1-hour countdown. The friends immediately understood that that's how long they had left to be able to escape, noticing that the temperature of the room started to increase every minute. But even then they were stuck. They had no idea what to do, until Laura collapsed to the floor while grabbing her chest. Rachel examined her to see what was happening, and it turns out that the heat loosened the stitches Laura had on her chest. But why did she have stitches? It's not like she ever had any surgery there. And that's when Rachel remembered the first clue. Laura, the answer is in your heart. And with that revelation, Rachel grabbed a knife and stabbed her friend, desperate to get out of that infernal room. She tore out her former friend's heart with her hand. Then she cut it in half, and that's how Rachel found the key, in Laura's heart. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more horror videos, subscribe to our channel.